Hey, it's Mooch again. Today's topic is fatherless homes. It is, I think, the main reason for a lot of societal crises today. Hear me out. I'm not absolving the mothers, that's for sure. But I see so many posts and shorts and TikToks and whatever on other channels where they compile them all. And they go over where women and men are sick of relationships, nothing works anymore, their standards are all messed up. And every time I watch these, whether it's a bunch of female videos or a bunch of male videos, a lot of the females, they have their insane standards today that don't make any sense. They want the 1% of men out there, and they don't really realize, unfortunately, that what they want is the 1%. And most of these women do not qualify as the type of woman that the 1% of men in that high earning, good looking, successful category would even want to be with. So they're delusional. Unfortunately, they are delusional. But I think there's an underlying theme to what they really want. And it's not, I think today it's become, well, you must make, way over six figures if you're a man and have all these things. I think what they're really saying, and they don't even realize that they're saying it, is we are seeking security, which has kind of always been the theme throughout the ages for humans. Women want security. We don't want to have to be the ones striving and doing all the things and making it all happen. And I think it's gotten all torn up and mixed up where women of probably the past 2 to 3 generations now, I mean, we're in 2026, so it's definitely 2 to 3 generations of women the past 30 years or so, where I don't know what wave of feminism we're on now at this point, but it's gotten extremely messed up. Like, original feminism to me was, hey, get women the vote, get women equal rights in workplaces and different things like that. Don't, we just simply wanted a more equal treatment, but I know it's kind of shifted things and ruined things in a way because instead of equality, I think we've outdone ourselves and now we can just take care of ourselves. And I'm one of those women. I mean, I'm not ashamed of it per se, as far as, wow, I was able to earn a lot of money to take care of myself. It took a long time. It took my entire career to get there. And again, I'm over 50 now, so but I think that it the waves of feminism and what generations of women taught young women has been really wrong. It's totally incorrect and it's corrupting our society. But then also men haven't been taught by their fathers because they live a lot of times in fatherless homes and they don't even necessarily have an uncle or some, next door neighbor who's like the guy who just kind of gives him the guy talks once in a while or whatever. Or there's not even enough money maybe to send him to karate class so he can at least have a karate instructor or some disciplined man who has some character and say value, but he holds a place in society that means something and he has personal values that drive the way that he functions in society, and he can teach that to a younger man. Now, I'm not saying that there's no movements out there. I've seen different influencers actually, some of them influencing younger men, groups of younger men, where they're teaching them manners and teaching them all sorts of life skills, social skills, just anything that a father would teach a young boy. But a lot of these boys don't have fathers. And again, the same goes for all of these women who are so misguided by their mothers. They don't have a male figure. They don't have a father figure who's been there to be the figure of, oh, what should a man be? What they know a man should be is a man who disappeared or a man who's often uninvolved. So that's the other thing too. There might be fathers around. Excuse me. there might be fathers around, but they may not come around enough. They may come around sporadically, which is even worse. Honestly, if you're going to be an unreliable father, you might as well just stay out of that child's life altogether. Either way is terrible. It will influence their life in positive and negative ways, because sometimes people come out of a lot of strife and bad childhoods. I mean, I had a lot of that. I had a bad childhood, but you rise above it and you learn from what you don't want and what you don't want to be. But unfortunately, too, it also shapes you in a lot of negative ways. It's part of why I didn't become a parent, and why I didn't marry correctly, and why I didn't make a lot of great choices, because I didn't have anyone around me who taught me any of these things. My mother just went to work, she did what she could. She did what she knew how to do, which was not a lot, but and then my father was mostly absent in my childhood years. Now he's more present, which is, nice. But in adulthood, I, I no longer need the fatherly lessons and influence. It's nice to have him there. But again, both of my parents have selfish streaks, and I'm not trying to insult my parents. It's just the truth of who they are, and they're each in their own way, in totally different ways. But I can totally see where other people, generations of men and women, or young men and women, really, are growing up in this same type of thing, or similar thing, or worse situations. Or, I mean, some people have it really, really bad, where both their parents are on drugs, or both their parents are alcoholics, or they have an extremely abusive, neglectful situation. And I've known some people who've come out of that too. So it's we don't have the society that we once had, where I know people will say, well, it was fake, it was built on nothing, it wasn't real. I disagree with that. I think it was built on Christian foundations, Christian values. Maybe people didn't take them seriously, but some people did. And yes, sure, unfortunately, behind the scenes, there were still a lot of affairs and rotten things going on, but that's people who are sinning and going against what they should believe in, or what they say they believe in. So, I mean, it's people who really aren't adhering to the values that they should be. And if people really truly used those values as a compass for life, and lived them, we would have a much better society, because it would be one of order. It would be one of taking care of each other. It would be one where, God is at the head of a marriage. And so, when a man is subject to God, and yes, the woman is subject to man, but she's also subject to God. I mean, they both have to subject themselves and submit themselves to God's will in this world. But a lot of people are just not doing that anymore, period. Like, the American church has a huge problem. I'm not going to go into that in this video, and I don't want to make this about Christianity, because it's not. It's just simply about absent fathers in both male and female lives. So it's a big problem, and it's caused a big rift. And back in the day, way, way, way back, I dated, I can't even tell you, most of the men that I dated had absent fathers. Their father was either there, or something happened to their father when they were young, or he just left when they were born or something, or when they were really little. And that was in quite a lot of the men that I dated. And maybe it was just my bad choices, obviously. But that, if I saw it even back then, just imagine how compounded and horrible it is now. And I know that because a lot of these videos of these people complaining about dating and complaining about the state of relationships, they're not even looking in the mirror at themselves, truly. They don't even see the video that they created, where they're just nasty. You look at them and you go, okay, I get it. You're complaining about a man or a woman or whatever, but have you looked at yourself lately? Have you truly examined what you bring to the table? And a lot of these people talk about they have 3 baby mamas, or they have 3 baby daddies, or either way, they both are single parents. So they're single parents, possibly between many split potential families. that is not a way to start a life of any kind that has any real foundation in security. There's no security today, leading back to what I talked about in the beginning with women seeking security. They're subconsciously seeking security, but they can't put their finger on it. They can't put their finger on the fact that that is what it is. They also can't put their finger on probably that they're exhausted and overwhelmed for many reasons because women, I'm not saying women aren't supposed to be in the workforce, but we're not supposed to be doing a lot of the things that we're doing, which is driving and being at the forefront of all of these different spaces. I think women strive too much and we have stepped into too much of a male role, which I know is offensive to a lot of women, but when you really step back and examine it, a lot of a lot of these women who complain, they've taken on the role of, yes, they have to be the provider. Obviously, if you have three children and you can't find the father, or he doesn't pay child support, or some of these women are the problem for sure because they will cut things off. They'll be like, well, I don't want any child support from him. Well, that's just stupid. That's just absolutely stupid. You are depriving your own children. At least give them the money that the father could provide if he's not going to be a father. And I know a lot of times it is the choice of the father to not be involved or whatever for many, many multitudes of reasons. But a court of law that says you have to pay child support either way, whether you're the man or the woman, whatever the situation is, you have to pay child support. So, and there's a lot of child support dodgers too. I totally get that. So we have such a mixed up, messed up society that stems mostly from fatherless, not childless, fatherless homes in one way, shape, or form. And a lot of it is because the sanctity of marriage is broken down. There's no there's no benefit in many ways, or men are not seeing a benefit to marriage, sadly. But a lot of that is women's fault. If you give them everything, then they have no reason to marry you. If you've literally had the children, you've given him everything basically. And if he just walks out, well, it's kind of on you too. So it's on both of them. They're both ridiculous adults that allowed all that to happen. And I mean, this is a huge problem with society though. And I don't know what our generation, what the over 50 generation can do to help. I mean, obviously we can help through church communities where if you are an, I don't want to, for lack of a better word, I'm going to say an elder in your church, or just an older person in the church, or a more mature Christian in your church, you can certainly help. When you hear of different things, or you come into contact with different people where you're giving your advice if you're asked for it, you can certainly pray in different ways for people who are having these types of problems. But we need a societal shift. But we also do need our churches to, if they're a Christian church, they need to live their Christianity. And it's the older Christians, it's the 50 plus Christians, whether they're married or not, who need to be the example. They can't be the bad example. That's the other thing too. I think I've had to put certain people, correct them, because they think, they got a divorce and they can get remarried. Not every single person can get remarried in that situation. So you can't just go from relationship to relationship. And I hear so many people too talking about, well, my divorce isn't final and they're dating. That's like, why don't you wait for your divorce, your separation from the other relationship, the long-term relationship that you had, to be final? Be alone for a while, get to know yourself, spend some time with God. That would be good. But mostly examine what went wrong on your side of the relationship. And the other thing too is you can't go into every new relationship thinking, well, I'm not going to do all the things that I did. Okay, but this is going to be an entirely new person. So you can't really undo your last relationship in the new relationship. Certainly, if you run into something that's, you know, you shouldn't have done before but did, and you do it, you run into it again, don't do it again, sure. But people have such messed up ideas about relationships, period, today that I think everybody's just running around. Sorry, my allergies are bothering me so bad. And I have every air purifier on today that I could possibly run to try to stop it. But uh yeah, I'm curious what you guys think. Like, yes, please do start commenting on my videos, put comments below. Let's have a conversation about it's not even whose fault it is, because I think it's equally both men and women, but a lot of it stems back to the fact that they had a fatherless household. And talking about the mothers, yes, the mothers in a lot of ways cause these things to happen. Both of them do, both responsible parties do, the men and the women, but I think the women sometimes can make it worse, again, because they have multiple baby daddies. They're not doing the responsible thing, or they're not getting child support from who they need it from, or they're also, they act very hateful towards the father in some way. Not everybody. I've seen some parents try to co-parent separated, and they do try to do the responsible thing, and they try not to badmouth each other or whatever. But I also lived a situation where my parents manipulated me as a young person against each other. And I was just like, whatever, they were too immature to be parents. But that's okay, because, God restored me. God gave me everything I needed. I'm not saying these things out of bitterness. I'm just saying it as an example of, yes, I lived it too. I lived it too in many, many different ways that I won't even discuss on here. But I just wish women would do better and men would do better. And by doing better, a lot of them have to just zip up their pants. Truly. I'm sorry. I know it may not be realistic for some people, but I think you do. And I think they can. They can if they just learned a little bit of self-control. And our society is not one of self-control. Our society has become one of hedonism and just do what you want and do what feels good and just do whatever and who cares. There's no real consequences because there's no real shame today. There's no shame in being pregnant out of wedlock. There's no shame for having knocked up some woman, So no families are shaming anybody, or no families are asking the question, or there's no family saying, you know what, maybe adoption is a better route. Maybe or maybe don't go have an abortion, or just many different levels of things. We don't even realize all the things that are causing, I don't want to say more sin in the world, it is, but it's just more negativity and evil to be perpetuated in the world, with how many children are just aborted in the world. Forget America. I mean, America, I think, wins, sadly, the abortion issue. But, you know, and yes, I get it. Oh, you're like, women have to have a choice. Yes. And I'd hate to tell you, and because I know the real statistics, because I was on the other side of it a long time ago when I wasn't a conservative and I was a liberal, and I used to work in certain spaces that I won't mention and volunteer in certain spaces. And a lot of women have had 3 abortions. I'm not kidding. That is the average. It is very, very often and very much the average that a woman has had 3 abortions. She might also be married. She might also have a whole bunch of kids already, and she's had these 3 abortions. So it's not uncommon. And no, I'm sorry, it's not mostly rape or incest survivors. Those are like 0.5% or 1% out of all abortions that take place. So people need to stop it with the, I'm sorry, grape and incest survivors. While it's a terrible, terrible thing, it is the smallest percentage of abortions. So, I didn't want to make this an abortion rant, but it's just we as a society are not doing good. And again, a lot of the abortion stems from fatherless households, because the woman is left in a corner thinking, this man's not going to take care of anything. So then she makes this horrible decision, because too, she also doesn't have good nurturing women around her to tell her there's a different way out. You can do the adoption route, you can go a different way, or you could keep your child, or whatever it is. Because too, we don't have a supportive, quote, village of women. We don't have the support that women used to have a long, long time ago, where you didn't raise your baby alone. Your mother was either in the house somewhere or right next door or whatever, or you had aunts and cousins and people around you. You had a lot of family around you to help raise children. So you weren't alone as much as you are now as a woman. I think it's overwhelming for women. Women have not admitted that they are alone too often in trying to raise children, even when they're married. You know, we were never meant to raise our children in this level of isolation by ourselves. It just, you would have a village of people, so a village of women to help you. So I think we've gotten to this space where no one wants to ask for any help, and because if you can't do it on your own, you're a failure, unfortunately, in society's eyes, which is ridiculous. Because, like I said, it's like every mother has to go to work according to feminism, which is ridiculous. Your job is already a mother. Like you basically assigned yourself two jobs at that point. You're a mother, which is a crazy big job, and then you have to go to work. So, and certainly if you're a single mom, yes, you have no choice. You have to go to work. But even single, I'm not saying there's no single dads out there either. There are, and they have to bear the same, they have kids to take care of and a job to go to, and what are they going to do? And a lot of it too is, people can't even afford their child care. I mean, there's so many levels. We could go down a rabbit hole of a 5-hour video examining all of the problems of trying to raise children today properly, and almost no one is doing it. Almost no one's doing it properly because number one, they're not married. And like I said, there's all these mixed families where these people have had children with multiple women, multiple men. I mean, it's just reached a point of ridiculousness. When is someone going to point out to them, you need to stop? Or at some point, yes, sorry, I don't know, maybe if you're not going to zip up, close your legs or whatever, go get the final operation that zips you up completely because you can't control yourself. So at least you won't produce anything else to cause problems, to cause money problems, but also to just cause more emotional problems for the family unit that you've created. I don't know if I really had a point to this, but it's just that when you see all these videos of people dating or wanting to date or not wanting to date anymore, and everybody's complaining on both sides, whether it's women complaining and men complaining about women, or men just giving up and being like, we're not interested in women anymore, or women who are like, well, there's no men out there, so I'm not interested anymore. Either way, this stems so much from fatherless homes when you really, really look at it. And again, not absolving the mothers, but let's let's do better in this space somehow. Let's, if you know someone who's struggling with this, try to be an influence, try to be a help to them in some way. There's only so much we can do as outsiders or as a family member or whatever. You can't control someone else's life, but you could maybe help to influence them through your point of view, or through trying to shape values, or just being an example of, hey, my life is good because I did XYZ. I didn't make certain choices. And not that you're saying that to them. It's just you're being an example of that, because otherwise it would just rub it in their face and they wouldn't like it, and they would just keep perpetuating their immature, ridiculous behavior and probably have 3 more kids. So let's not do that, but just do the best you can in your own communities and your own families. But it is sad, and I hope it turns around, that eventually values come back and we have a different society that is maybe becomes more shame-filled in a positive way, that we should hold to our values and not live this hedonistic, ridiculous existence that doesn't help children to grow up and have any level of security. And then they become these young adults who are just a complete mental mess and can't function in a family unit. So we won't even have any families in the future because they're so dysfunctional now. All right. Well, this has been a very positive video. I'm sorry. We'll try to try to think of a better topic next time. Talk to you guys soon. Goodness.